Good morning or afternoon, wherever you're watching this. My name is Trevor Will, and I will be presenting as the airport manager today for George Bush Intercontinental. This is an airport that's very near and dear to me. It's the airport that I grew up around. This is the airport that we drove to 100 times or more, picking people up, dropping people off, going on flights myself. I've been in Bush Intercontinental to help with different security measures. I've been there to do interviews. I'm greatly familiar with this airport. I'm a big fan, and I'm happy to present to you today. For lack of time, we'll jump right into it. I'd like to talk about the background a little bit today. George Bush Intercontinental was planned in the late 1950s due to congestion at William P. Hobby Airport. Houston is a growing city, very business oriented, lots of oil and gas movement going in and out of Houston, and Hobby was the first commercial service airport that was put up in Houston. Got very congested, and they needed another airport to put up. When Bush was initially constructed, it began in 1965, ended in 1969, and only had one terminal at that point. It was a 4-year project. There were some financial concerns within, but the one terminal did help. So they opened up Bush Intercontinental and added a Terminal B in the 1970s and Terminal C in the 1980s, respectively. It had accommodated growth. They've done a great job with it, and they've done a very good job maintaining that growth. Recent efforts focus on upgrades for efficiency and sustainability, solidifying IAH as a major gateway to the southern United States. It is a point of arrival for international travel, and so we get a lot of traffic coming in there from international travelers. Getting to the background a little bit more, the airport is owned by the city of Houston, and it's managed through the Houston Airport System. It's a facet of operation that covers generally covers three major airports in Houston. There's Bush Intercontinental, William P. Hobby, which we talked about, as well as a joint force base called Ellington Field. Ellington Field is used by some commercial travel, but mostly by general aviation and different branches of military. It's a really neat airport down there, but for lack of time, we'll focus on Bush here. Our general manager is Carl Newman. Carl Newman is relatively recently been appointed by the Houston Airport Authority, and he's had his position since earlier this year. And he reports to the Director of Aviation Houston, Jim S. I'm going to refrain from trying to say his name so I don't butcher it, but they're a great team. They've done a great job with the airports in Houston. Airport master plan is extensive, to say the very least. It's 622 pages, very detailed plans on how Bush Intercontinental is going to improve. It goes all the way out to 2035. That's another 11 years, and it includes new amenities, runways, expansions, overall improvements, environmental concerns. And I really was impressed upon reading this report and the plan of how many reports are made prior to future planning. Nothing moves forward without referencing the history of the airport in this plan, and they've done a great job with it. One little point that I'd like to point out here, I'm going to pull up my laser pointer. This runway on the south end is a new one that's going to be going up. And that'll be important for next couple of slides coming up here. Next one. So these are the current runways that we have. It's a very large airport, taking a lot of large planes. The longest that we have is 15 left, 33 right. It's 12,001 foot, and it's made of concrete. All of our runways here at Bush Intercontinental are concrete. And they've held up extremely well. They've got a great maintenance, great management system there as well. And they do take in some 135 operations, 121, 91, all sorts of operations, all sorts of runways and lengths to accommodate as much traffic as we can. Some of the governing regulations with Bush Intercontinental are, of course, the FAA is a big one. Part 139 is where the airport lands under. It's a Part 139 operating airport, and that's an airport that covers scheduled aircraft with more than 30 seats. So scheduled aircraft operations, which Bush does. So they have to make sure that they confide by those regulations. Also required to meet local regulations, including noise abatement, zoning, building restrictions, um, and there's a whole team set apart to to make sure that the airport complies to each of those regulations. Security is a place that I'm very familiar with. I've got friends in security there at Houston Airport. The police department, Houston Police Department, has a team set apart specifically for the airports, and they do training all the time. They do training during heavy times of traffic, light times of traffic. I've been in there to help with canine training, and they just do a fantastic job of keeping the airport safe. And from my research, there hasn't really been any large incidents at Houston International Airport that cause concern that would be a concern for security, but they continue to advance as quickly as they can. Non-airline revenue is a huge part of keeping Bush Intercontinental's doors open. There's a lot of stores in Bush Intercontinental, and they all pay rent to the airport and make up for any revenue lost by concerns made by other by other forms of revenue. Here we have our shopping and dining at International Airport of Houston. There's plenty of places to shop, as you can see. And passenger safety is a place that I want to look at next. Passenger safety is paramount to the management and every other employee at Bush Intercontinental. There are designated areas for passenger traffic flow. They do a great job maintaining traffic flow, making sure people are in and out efficiently and safely. There's TSA screening. There are trained agents at Bush Intercontinental to make sure that they can identify any threats and stop them before they become a problem. Now, you remember me saying that there was a new runway being built. There's a lot being built at Houston Intercontinental, and one of the biggest concerns is traffic and construction. Construction does take a long time, and as the airport continues to expand and grow, people continue to be frustrated with construction, but the much needed improvements will far outweigh the short-term construction problems. So I'm looking forward to that finishing up there. Sustainable environmental considerations are a huge aspect of aviation management, something that we've talked about plenty in class. And Bush has an environmental review annually, and they're constantly committing to going green. It's a big part of their plan. Fueling is a part that we haven't talked so much about, and it applies directly to some environmental considerations. Again, for lack of time, I encourage you to pause and read this slide. But essentially, IAH has a specific focus on safe fueling of aircraft, and they do a wonderful job enforcing it. I hope that this short but comprehensive overview of George Bush Intercontinental has provided valuable insights into the governance, operations, and commitment to safety that Bush Intercontinental has. And they've done a fantastic job with continued steady growth from being a one terminal use airport to now it's 5 terminals and growing that we have today. This is a picture of United Jet taking off with the Houston skyline in the background, and these are my references. Thank you.